How you doing? This is Derek Boykin of the DubTalk podcast, where we interview the winners here amongst the campus of the University of Dayton. What this means is we get the chance to recognize a lot of the athletes here on campus. In this interview, I got the chance to talk to Kyree McCray-Brown and Joe Fuchs of the club boxing team, where we talked about the journey that the club has gone through over the last year. Hopefully you enjoy. Tune in for more. Thank you. How y'all doing? I'm Derek Boykin. Welcome to the podcast. And today you're amongst the greatness, some legends right now. I have my guy Joe Fuchs and I have my guy Kyree McCray-Brown. And today we're just really talking about UD club boxing for the most part. For the podcast, we were pretty much just talking about all types of crazy stuff. But I would like to start off with just asking you, how did you guys get your start?
So for me, myself, my family, always been really big into sports, and a big part of that too, like when I was in high school, I did football, wrestling, and lacrosse, and when you finish up high school sports, if you're really in depth with it, you're just kind of like searching for something else, you want to get committed to something, you want to be a part of something to work towards, and for me, I was thinking all the same, like wrestling was a big passion for me, and trying to, I guess, get more well-rounded, both with defending myself, with being able to fight, and then being a part of a team again and working towards something, so that's when I joined the club and been doing it ever since. So
that's what's up, man.
I guess I got my start like Joe. I did football and wrestling in middle school, and then after high school, I was like, what do I do now? But there would be times where every Saturday, my great grandpa and I would watch either UFC, MMA, or boxing, whatever was on. We just like to watch it. And then I got here and I go up to Oregon and see boxing. I was like, I'd like to do that. And then I've been doing it for a year now. I love it.
Yeah, man, I love it too, man. So if y'all don't know, I'm also part of the UD club boxing team, which is what makes this experience a lot more, happy for me, just to talk to my guys, about this topic, because what really drives someone to want to box in a way, you both talk about y'all wrestle. To wrestle and box is crazy to me. I couldn't wrestle. That's not my thing. So it was always for me like, what made me want to box definitely was just being in the neighborhood and, just needing to know how to do these things. So, like, even before when talking to you guys, I was saying, like, I think having that hand-to-hand combat is just as important as knowing how to swim, and knowing how to defend yourself is a great skill to have. So I just wanted to know, like, what made you just say, hey, I just want to box, knowing the risks that it could have,
I think my biggest thing, when I had kind of come in from wrestling, like I said, it was very impressionable for me, all the same for like football too, was I wanted to get back into some sort of a team. I wanted to get back into some sport, and seeing where boxing was, especially like when I joined in, and for, I didn't mention before, but I've been doing it now going on 4 years, and I'm in my last year right now at UD. Yeah. The club really wasn't in that spot where people were really all that experienced, but it was really welcoming. And so just being a part of a team, all the same, that you could kind of join. And then since then, the same with wrestling. I just really like to compete, and I don't know, just being able to like show out and just kind of get gritty with whatever you're working on is fun. I just like whether it's sparring or just getting real hard in the practices and showing yourself get better and being able to like see that and depend on yourself against another person was a real driving factor for me.
For me, it was mostly a driving factor too. Like when COVID hit, like it was after wrestling season. I was like in decent shape. I was like, there is no way like I'm gonna go through quarantine and like gain 30 pounds back again. Like I was starting to work out from home, like going on the treadmill and stuff. And then I get to college, I'm like, what am I doing all this working out stuff for? And then, like I said, I went to up the Oregon, I saw boxing, and then I just have this drive to make myself at least 1% better every day. That's why consistency is key. Definitely. And then like boxing was perfect for me because like I get to like almost see how much I'm improving, if that makes sense.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And you guys seen me when I got my start, so we all came a long way in a way. So it's actually good to see, and I think this year is very important in a way because I feel like this year with club boxing is when we really getting over that hump in a way. Like you could tell last year after COVID season how we were getting that start, how we everyone was just coming back into it. And I feel like we're heading into a different era with club boxing a little bit, just Definitely. With us going to Drake's now. And we came a long way. I wish Josh, Sergio, guys are still here, but you know how that goes.
And dude, all the same, like when I came in my freshman year, and I'm a fifth year right now, I'm studying engineering, so I took a couple of semesters off to work full time. So 5 years ago, 4.5 now, I came in, there was probably 15 kids in the group, 2 or 3 kids had even really boxed before that. For the most part, it's other people that did it here a little bit. They had friends that did it. They learned. Maybe we were a year in, so they had some experience, but they hadn't been competing, especially not. And at that point, it seemed like the club wasn't even going anywhere.
Exactly.
And now we're in a position, we just had 200-some kids sign up for tryouts.
Yeah.
We got like 50, 60 kids on the team. We got a ring. We got a gym that we're sponsored up with and have a coach. And we're probably going to be having a fight night here in the spring in the middle of KU in front of the whole campus and just really showing out and getting people involved.
That's going to be crazy. I feel like that's really going to really push that club boxing. Like, we'll be more than just a club team at some point. You know what I'm saying? So I think just the experiences and then the people that we're working with in the club is just really cool. You can tell everyone wants it. Everyone really rocks with each other, you know. You see Laura in a way where I never thought that she would take it this serious before.
Yeah.
Like, I see her now and I'm just like, okay.
She's really coming
my bad.
out.
I don't even want to, bother her or
Yeah.
put her in that position. So it's actually cool to see like how serious everyone is taking while at the same time having fun too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, to kind of bounce off of that. Like last year, it felt like I don't know if it's the right word, but like a leisure thing. Like, oh, we go to practice, we do a couple things, and we sit around and talk a bit. Like it was more laid back. Like this year, it feels more like a team. Like
Definitely.
Like we're getting after it. We're starting to take people accountable. Like it feels like a more well-oiled machine. Like we're constantly getting after it, getting better. And I think we're definitely headed in the right direction, like what you said.
For sure. I think a big part of that, too, is, like, goal setting. I mean, all the same, we had to get people that are, more accustomed to knowing how to box. Like, you can't just hop into sparring right away. It's not going to work out for you. But now that we got people with a better base, and those people can kind of take up some leadership positions and, like, set a goal for the group that we want to start competing. We want to join the NCBA and all that stuff.
I had thought of something real funny when you just said just throwing people in there sparring. My first time boxing, like my first practice ever, was back home in Cleveland. First day I got thrown into the ring against a professional boxer. If you don't know him, look him up. His name is Montana, Too Pretty Love. Real cool dude. He's like a guy, he practiced with Gervonta Davis. So he's the real deal. And he's on the come up right now. But it was a crazy experience because I was, 17 at the time. So just getting in the ring, having to spar him, I kind of got all my chills off early just with the boxing stuff. So after that, I said, I don't fear anything anymore. So it was crazy.
It's all downhill.
Yeah, man. It was crazy. It was a cool experience.
Yeah.
But describe your first time ever sparring, though.
You want to go first? Or?
Sure. My first time, freshman year when I had come in, we had a couple of dudes, like I said, that had done a few years of boxing. We had a kid, I forget his name, who had come over from China, and he had done competitive kickboxing and boxing over there.
See.
Everybody else in the group had like done some here, like they'd done sparring but hadn't competed at all. And so we had a big night where everybody sort of like put on gloves, we got headgear, and just had people doing sparring in the room. We didn't have a ring at this point. We just set up some jump ropes and just like held them outside and really got it organized in one of the studios. But it was intriguing too because from wrestling, like you get pumped up, you know you're about to have like this one-on-one match, but going into boxing, it was different in the sense that like you can really freeze up if you get hit, especially if you get clipped or whatever that might be. And so just being able to kind of have some more composure there, and like I said, like you get out of it and you're like, I'm amped up, like I'm excited, like this is a good time, and then you just kind of want to get more into it, and obviously being safe about it, but all the same, just like exciting to get involved and like I said, like scrap it out. So
I remember my first sparring match was with Matt Hackle. And like I didn't want to get in the ring anyway, but like I was afraid of like getting knocked out in front of all my teammates. And then he was like, "Dude, let's go in the ring." I was like, "No," but like I was like, you don't learn if you don't like jump in there. So then I got in there, and then it felt like I was wrestling again because you get like that like 2 minutes of like nonstop action, and like it felt thrilling. I gotta say, like it felt great, but like I definitely left with like a bloody mouth a little bit, but it was definitely, I enjoyed it. It was great.
Yeah.
Good learning experience too.
Yeah. Being here though, I didn't really get a chance to like spar. Like surprisingly, I kept having to do body sparring because I didn't have my mouthpiece yet, which was funny enough. So my first time sparring here was against Grant, which is silly. That's a silly dude. That's a real silly dude to spar for your first time. You know, he wants to dance on you, do all types of cool stuff.
Do a little ollie shuffle and stuff.
Yeah, man. But he teaches you though. Like he really tells you, like, hey, no, hit me. Like hit me if you can. Like do what you got to do. So I think it's good to have guys like that when you first start, and that's really just willing to work with you while at the same time letting you know that they can really beat you up if they had to. So it kind of, you know, get those chills off of it in a way, you know. So
well, that's a big thing too. Where you said you were with like Two Love, that was boxing too, or with you were with Grant, with experienced guys. Like they can beat you up. They're not in there to beat you up. You know what I mean? And all the same, you go in with somebody who's a complete amateur. Maybe it's their first time. Maybe you go in with Matt, like you leave with a bloody mouth. You'll leave boxing like matches maybe with a bloody nose. Maybe you got hit in the kidneys hard, like whatever it might be. But a lot of time in sparring, like you're meant to get better. So when you're against those like high level guys, they're in there to like show you like they could put that on you.
Right.
But they're having you give your best against somebody better. It's like the same way people say like iron sharpens iron. You're only gonna get good if you go against people who are good.
Exactly. And I think the mental part of it is a lot important too. It's like you're not gonna get better unless you do it. Like that's just like you don't become a better driver, you don't become a better fighter unless you do it. So you have to fight and get that off in a way, you know, because think about it, if you're fighting someone on the street and you've never been in a fight before and they've been in plenty of fights before, your chances of winning that fight is real slim. So it's like, this is not a movie, you know, you gotta really do it to get better, you know. So I just think that's very interesting, you know, just to, like you said, iron sharpens iron, you know. But yeah, man, it's real good to spar against you though, definitely.
Yeah,
I don't like sparring against anyone else unless it's you. Now I got my young dude Jovan, who I can spar with, which was a great sparring match between y'all two. That was crazy. It was good to see that the first day. So
yeah, I can tell too, because I don't know. He said he's been boxing like the only sport he's been doing, like sixth grade. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, you could definitely tell when boxing him or when sparring with him, whatever, that he's definitely got a lot of experience with it too.
Yeah, man.
So
that's cool. But what you feel about it, man? What you feel about the new guys coming in, ready to?
They have a lot of energy and a lot of. Like, you can tell that they want to get better, too, which is good. Because, like, last year you had people like, oh, I'll show up 30 minutes and I'll just bounce. But, like, no, these people are here. Like, you can tell they're there to get better. And they've definitely gotten better. Yeah. And you can tell, like, when they have something that they don't feel as comfortable with, they'll come up and, like, hey, man, I need help with this. Like, they're not afraid to ask for help.
Definitely. I feel that. I wanted to also ask just about balancing being a student athlete in a way. I know we're part of club boxing, but you know, like I said before, this is a sport, man, and it's only gonna get better and serious from here. So I just wanted to know, like, how do you guys balance out? You know, I know you have a lot on your plate, of course. So I just want to know how you balance everything out, just extracurriculars and all that stuff, just as a student here.
Yeah, so it's a benefit for me right now. I'm only taking 16 credit hours. Like last semester, I was taking 19, which is you're only supposed to even take 18 all the same.
Exactly, I'm taking 18.
I think a big thing too. I mean, I'm doing club boxing, club wrestling, and then I'm in SHEP, Society of Spanish Professional Engineers, and a few other organizations like Tau Beta Pi, Pi Tau Sigma, and I'm doing mechanical engineering. You know what I mean?
See?
So you got a lot going on right there. And I just have the personal belief that if you really want to get something done, like you can do it. There's just, as everybody says, like there's a few pillars. There's social, there's academic, and I mean, there's what you're investing into yourself, like personally, whether like working out or whatever. Exactly. That you sort of got to have that trade-off. So having some of that for me, like I don't really sleep a lot. Like I average like 6 hours of sleep a night probably.
Okay.
But
that's
other than that,
bad, though.
Yeah,
that's not too bad.
Worse.
People got worse. You know? People got worse.
I probably got 4 last night.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? So
that's too funny. So, but I mean, all the same. I mean, you're only in class. Say you got 16 credit hours a week. I got 4-5 hours of class a day.
Right.
19 hours left of the day. If I'm sleeping 6 hours, you got 13 hours to do homework. It's not going to take you more than an hour to do this homework assignment. Yeah. You got a whole week to do
Unless
it.
you're me.
You know what I mean? You sit down, schedule that stuff out. Big G Cal guy.
Oh, man.
Google Calendar is the way to go. But yeah, you can do it, I feel. How about you?
For me, like you said, Google Calendar is my best friend. I also have this thing called My Study Life, like where I have my classes at this time, my assignments at this time. But I got 21 credit hours, RA, boxing. But organization is just key. Like if I didn't have Google Calendar or like My Study Life, if I'm just like, man, I'll just remember to do that in an hour, I'd flunk out all my classes. But like it's all about organization, discipline. Yeah, because you can't just be like, I'll just put it off an hour. I'll just put it off till tomorrow, because then tomorrow will come, and then you'll be like, yep, can't do it. But it's like someone always told me, like, if you can get it done like within like an hour, just get it over with. Yeah. But organization is key, especially Google Calendar. Like,
man, I'm telling you, I always put myself in a hole. Like, it's weird because I'll put things. I'll be like, I'll do that later, or I get in this cycle, and maybe you guys can relate to this, but I'll get in this cycle where I don't get enough sleep the night before. So now that kind of throws my whole week off because now I'm doing work later. Mm-hmm. And now I have to be up later the night before.
Yeah.
Now, but then I probably got to put an assignment away to push it to tomorrow because I don't want to, miss my early class the next day.
Yeah.
And it's just like you just get in that cycle, and after a while you just be like, okay, the weekend is kind of like your only chance to really regroup. But then by the time the weekend comes, now you burnt out.
Yeah.
And now you just don't really feel like doing work on that Friday. No. And then Saturday come, you kind of just want a day. And then that Sunday come, and now you just feel relaxing. Oh, Sunday because of your Saturday before.
Yeah.
So it's just like,
I think
it's a weird cycle.
I don't know. It's kind of, I've heard the expression before, like, stop the cycle today or you're bound to repeat it tomorrow.
Right.
Like, especially when it comes to weekends, you should look at your Sunday like both a rest and a reset day for the rest of your week. Like, your Sunday sets the tone for what the next 5, 6, 7,
exactly.
5, 6 days are going to look like. Because, I mean, like, I'm a big Browns fan, regrettably, but if I'm watching the Browns game and then we don't do too well, I'm not too motivated to do my stuff, you know?
Man, I just hear so much complaining about the Browns, and I'm like, I don't follow football that much, so it's like, I hear bad things about the Browns. I'm like, I thought we were supposed to be good this year. What happened?
We
so it's like,
good,
you know?
But I mean, with that, like, using your Sunday to set the pace for the rest of the week, because it's like, let's say you don't do nothing Sunday, you get an assignment that's due Tuesday, you might, I don't know, sleep very little on Monday night trying to get that assignment in for Tuesday, and then you're going to go into Tuesday classes, not even learn as much in your class because you don't have the mental cognition to do it due to lack of sleep. Now you got to spend more time trying to relearn what you could have learned in class because you didn't pay attention because you couldn't. So, I mean, I think taking the time and using your Sundays as a way to propel the rest of your week, because like, if it takes so much energy to do those things throughout the week, you won't have the energy to work towards it later at the end of the week.
Exactly.
So using that time at the end of the week to propel those rest of the days is what's going to make it so much easier.
You almost have to do the work now to build your future in a way, like just help your future in a way. So it's hard to start that though.
Definitely, it definitely is. I think it's kind of like habit building though, you know? Like I think it's like takes like 2 weeks to build a habit, and then after that it feels like commonplace. It's what's normal for you. And I think if you get in the habit of sort of like climbing the mountain first, not procrastinating your work, being like, I'm going to go up that fast. Like, I don't want to go uphill. I don't want to climb the mountain right now. I'll do that later. You're going to walk all this time, and then when it's an incline, you're exhausted. You walk the whole time. Exactly. But if you take those hard tasks now, study for your exam, do the most difficult homework assignment, everything's downhill, and then you're just walking. It's like an easy breeze. You just kind of get into a trend, I feel like, doing that over and over again, that it seems a lot easier to do those small or difficult tasks, and everything else will just seem even easier after the fact that you've tackled that difficult thing first.
Definitely, man. That's good to hear you say, fifth year, someone who's been through it, someone who got that experience. What was probably the most challenging aspect of, like, college in general?
Probably academics. Like I said, mechanical engineering, I got a double minor in biomechanics and entrepreneurship. Right. And, I've done co-ops. I'm going to do like an ethos, like engineering immersion trip this spring probably, and done like a study abroad and stuff. So I've gotten a lot out of my college experience with that, with sports stuff. Like you touched on it earlier, time management and prioritizing the things that need to be. So for me, it was like school above anything else. So if I got to miss practice like you did, because I got to focus on school, like that's what's going to come first. That's why we pay all this money to be here.
Exactly.
I can box later. I can do whatever later. I can work out another way. Right. But focusing on that stuff and, I just think time management and like Kai said, you're not always going to be passionate about doing something. You're not always going to be like, oh, I really want to do my homework right now.
Right.
So, like, having that discipline to be like, well, the guy, like, Michael Phelps didn't want to swim every day. He says now that he doesn't even want to get in a pool. Right. But he did it because he knew what it was going to take him. You know what I mean?
That's cool, man. What was challenging about you for college so far?
Man, so far, it was my freshman year just because, like, Zoom classes. I was also, man.
I heard about y'all, man. I pity y'all class a lot.
Dude, I was in mechanical engineering and then, like, taking chemistry and calculus on a Zoom class with a short attention span. It's just, like, no, like there'd be times where I just wake up like, oh, I got Zoom class in 5 minutes, turn on the Zoom class and just take my picture off and just go back to sleep because I was not motivated. But then sophomore year, communications, grades better, and just it was just Zoom classes. That was the hardest part. But like now it's a lot better.
Yeah, I think the transition from high school and college was probably like my most challenging part. So, you know, I think just coming out of high school during like the COVID season and then getting right into college, like my class in a way, we're almost like a year behind in a way. Mm-hmm. So to an extent, it was always somewhat rough for us because we kind of just passed our classes instead of learning the material.
Yeah.
So it's just
like we ain't never had pass-fail classes before that, and then they just started like pass-fail because COVID. Mm-hmm. So where normally you're like, oh, I got to do this well because I'm going to get a B or an A or I don't want to get a C. Now, if you only need to get a 60 and it's going to look the same on a grade, a lot of kids who especially aren't even motivated in the first place aren't going to do all that extra work.
They're going to settle.
It's going to, like, they're short-sighted, and it's easy to be. I mean, there's no reason when you look at it that I need to do that stuff. But now, the same way for those kids coming up, whether socially or educationally, you didn't focus on that stuff. Now, you're going to get into those upper level classes for your major and be like, wow, I can't do Calc 2 if I didn't learn Calc 1. Like, I can't do these other things if I never learned all the prereqs. And it's the same thing for, like, building off, and especially for math. I mean, yeah.
I remember there was this one thing on Instagram. It was like, we're screwed if we got to go to the hospital in the future because all of the nurses and doctors cheated on their classes.
Yeah, like, that's crazy. I feel that way too, man. The next generation of people, it's going to be real interesting to see how everybody turn out. Yeah. Because we found good ways to finesse the system.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And, I mean, it works out now, but we'll see how it works out.
Yeah.
You know, so I was talking to Laura last year. She was a RA at my hall or whatever. And I guess she planned on going to medical school, and she was saying like she had this 8-hour test. And for me, I'm like, an 8-hour test, 8-hour course. I'm like, what? Like, so I kind of felt good about it in a way because I was kind of like, well, if that's what our future doctors is gonna have to be doing, now I know that it's gonna be for real. It's gonna be serious. Mm-hmm. So that's one thing to know, I guess. Yeah. But
that's what's interesting. Like they got rid of you don't need to have the SAT or the ACT for a lot of colleges now.
Yeah.
Which I get
to get in here.
People say standardized testing isn't a good representation, but like, what is your alternative?
Right.
If you don't have like a baseline that's going to be set annually, right there, you change the parameters that people have to learn by. How do you know how to judge people across state lines, across high school, county lines of who's competed well and things if it's just off GPA?
Exactly. That's a good point.
I think it's also just because, like, at least speaking for me, like, my GPA was pretty good high school year, but, like, I would bomb the ACT and the SAT. Like, I remember we took practices, and I was just like, it was just too many words, too many questions. But I don't think it's an accurate measurement of how smart you are, but I think there could be better ways to measure it, but I don't think the ACT or the SATs were good enough, if that makes sense.
Yeah. That's right.
Like, just with the ACT prep course that I was taking back in high school, she was just really giving us strategies on how we should take the test rather than, like, whether or not we know it. It was just like, okay, you don't want to spend this much time on this question, you don't want to do, and it's like, what are we learning through this? What are we doing?
You're learning tactics, not
you know what I'm saying? Real
content.
tactics, and it's like, I feel like to an extent, in a way, that kind of teaches us to just learn how to pass and just get things done and
not
get things out the way.
How to learn, you know?
I was horrible at state testing, like, altogether. Like, that just wasn't my thing. Like I said, I'm a person that likes to visualize everything, that likes to take his time. That's why I say a lot of my homework assignments do take me about an hour because I'm trying to, like, organize, do all types of other things, and my mind goes other places, and it's just, state testing was not my thing. I'm talking about even from when I was younger, like a little kid. So it's like, once they say you didn't need the ACT, SAT, all that, I said, okay, bet. Like,
yeah.
I know how to write a paper. I know how to do things that I could spend time doing. But, you know, that was my thing for sure. But do you guys keep up with the boxing world, though?
Yeah, I do. I love it. Like, was it every Saturday? I don't know if it's UFC or MMA, but, like, I just love watching it. Because, like I said, I watched it with my great-grandpa, so, like, it's just I don't know. It's just like watching a football game. I'll turn on a football game if it's on. I'll turn on a boxing or UFC match if it's on. It's just very entertaining.
Yeah, man. Do you keep up?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm mostly about MMA, to be honest. I think it was the Devin Haney and Teofimo Lopez fight just recently. I watched that. But otherwise, like, I'm looking forward to the Islam Makhachev and Charles Oliveira lightweight UFC title match that's happening this Saturday. For me, like, I did jiu-jitsu, I've done Muay Thai, and, like, with wrestling and stuff, so MMA is a big focus for me. That's why, like, Bellator, UFC, Pride, One, whatever it might be. So.
Yeah, I just I didn't watch anything like the past weekend, but I did hear more about, like, the Deontay Wilder fight.
Yeah.
He finally won. You know, after losing to Tyson Fury all these years, so it was real cool to see. Like, a lot of people was kind of, like, laughing and joking and trolling about the fact that the dude he was fighting looked kind of like Tyson Fury a little bit, just with the beard. And they was like, hey, he had to visualize winning before actually beating Tyson Fury. But they saying it might be a fourth fight. I don't know.
It's a money fight, you know?
It's all money at the end of the day, man. Yeah. It's real interesting. Me, personally, I would keep trying to rematch a guy 10 times if I had to. But, you know, I get it. You know, he lost all 3 of those fights. It's hard to say, but, you know, he kind of exposed him a little bit. If y'all see any of those fights, like, Tyson Fury is just the better boxer.
Yeah, he's just objectively better.
You know, so, and I really like Deontay Wilder too. I really think he's a good, like, I like his energy, I like his personality, but, you know, if it's a fourth fight, I'm looking forward to seeing him, you know, do something. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think Deontay Wilder kind of, like, is the definition of a puncher's chance of winning.
Yeah.
He can knock you out with one punch.
Yeah.
Like, if you're a good enough boxer, if you're a big enough guy, I think Tyson Fury's like 6'9".
Yeah.
Deontay Wilder's 6'7", but he's a bigger dude. He's got more weight on him, and all the same, he's a better boxer. So, you know how to, like.
Sometimes skill just comes into play. That's why I don't get bothered if I'm in the ring with someone who's just got more experience. It's like they're just better. You know what I'm saying? And it's only gonna get you better. So it's like I don't get discouraged off things of that nature. Just in any sport, any situation, it's like my goal is to try to win, do as best as I can, and put myself in a better position. But, you know, some people are just better.
Yeah.
You know?
And even if you're with somebody who's, like, maybe hasn't done it as long as you, like, shouldn't be discouraged if you don't do well. It's like any of that could be a learning experience all the same.
And it is all about skill. I mean, some sports, like, it's all about, like, how much you can bench, whatever, but, like, we've both been in wrestling, like, I don't know, but, like, some of those lightweights, like, it's all about, like, the way you move and how you position yourself. Like, you could have someone who weighs, like, 126 take down a 220 person. It's all about technique. It's not technique. It's not always about strength.
That's the key word. Technique.
Yes.
Technique in anything can take you so much far. Just skill. Like, even just with basketball, I know we're not talking about basketball today, but you see a lot of just dudes who are just skillfully better. They don't even have to be that much athletic. And that's crazy to me because, you know, coming up in a place where everyone is just athletic and just good, you know what I'm saying? Just talented. You got dudes who could really just work on certain things and just be a better player, you know? So I think that just falls in line with boxing too, where it's just, you know, I really do wish I started when I was a lot younger though. I was a real passive kid, very passive. I wasn't into football. I wasn't into wrestling. I wasn't into boxing at all. But my granddad wanted me to get him part of all this stuff, and I was like, no, I ain't feeling it. Before I got taller and athletic,
filled out,
I was more so just doing a lot of stuff on the computer. Like, I really wanted to do all types of other things rather than sports. So sports came later for me, but it all worked out in the end.
For sure.
So,
it's never too late to start. You know, I mean, it might be too late if you're 50 to start like heavy sparring and fighting, but it's probably not good for your health. But you can learn how to fight, and that's why, like, all those martial arts, they got, like, low impact, especially to your brain, like jiu-jitsu or maybe doing wrestling or something like that.
Jiu-jitsu is very interesting to me.
Yeah.
I never knew too much about it, but, you know, it's probably something that I probably in the future get involved in.
Yeah,
You know?
it's basically wrestling except you don't slam each other and you're trying to like submit the guy.
Right.
And the point is like nobody should be getting hurt because you should tap out before you get hurt. And at worst, like I guess at worst you get choked out, but like you wake up, you know, that's the point. So
yeah. So how does that make you guys feel like in public outside the sport, knowing that, hey, I'm good at boxing, I'm good at wrestling? Like, a lot of people don't talk about it, but how does that make you feel like just being in a situation where you know, like, if things go down, I'm already prepared in a way, to an extent?
I'm gonna be honest. I more feel it with wrestling just because I've only done boxing for 1 year, but I wrestled for 5. But something about it, like if something was to happen, like I have the tools, some of the tools to like defend myself. I definitely feel, I guess better is like I feel better, if that makes. I feel more safe. That's a better word.
Right.
yeah.
Like I said, I have the tools to like if something were to happen.
I mean, boxing, wrestling, martial arts, whatever. I think it instills. I mean, he says better confidence. You know,
Yeah, confidence.
you feel more confident about how to carry yourself. You feel more confident about your safety. And insecurity is like a sense that you don't feel safe or secure in where you are right now. So it sort of battles that and gives you the tools to be able to be, I don't know, reassured in it all the same. But the big thing about that too is where if you see like anybody in MMA that's really accomplished anything, they're reserved. You know,
Very reserved.
They have a respectability about them. Like they don't need to go out and show out
Exactly.
to people that I can fight, like I can beat you up, I can do all these things because they don't need to prove it to anybody.
It's usually like the opposite. Like
Yeah.
the people that can't really fight,
Bark,
that's
no
all
bite.
talk or so excited that they learned a new skill.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can almost tell when someone just started boxing or just started getting into some other stuff because their confidence is all up here, you know, initially.
Yeah.
But it's also like, yeah, we get it, bro. You just all talk, like we get it, you know. But I only say that because just knowing that you guys box and do MMA is like crazy to me. Like, you know, just I'm like, man, who are y'all ops? Like, who y'all trying to fight? Like, that's crazy. But
It's 6:40. So you guys want to wrap up now, or ask them one more question, depending on what you guys want to leave.
Make it a good one.
make it a good question.
And if you want, I mean, I could just head out. I don't know if you want. If you had a few more, you can keep
No,
asking
we can
him.
wrap this up. To be
Okay.
honest, I think I pretty much asked every cool thing that I wanted to know. But it's like, just to kind of like build off of the question that I just asked you, just about like the confidence that y'all get.
Yeah.
What do y'all think? Like, how do y'all think boxing plays into people's mental health too?
I mean, I definitely think specifically to boxing, there's an aspect to that can negatively affect your mental health in the sense that it's hurting your brain. Like if you go into it in your boxing competitively or you're sparring a lot, like CTE is a real thing with any sport. But in terms of how you feel mentally about yourself, and especially if you're not to the point where that's negatively impacted your health, I think upping your confidence is the best way to really go about stuff, So whether that feed into your confidence personally, how you feel confident that you've accomplished that goal, and then going into your academics, it just only uplifts stuff. So
the way I see it, it's like a form of a stress reliever. Like just going in there, like every time like I failed a test, I just go in there, Studio C, just like hit on the back, or like even during practice, hitting the mitts. It's therapeutic in a way.
Right.
And then even out of practice, like you see the results that you're getting from practice, like look in the mirror, like you see like how you're shaping up. You're like, I feel good about myself. So like you get that confidence, you get that, you get some stress off you. It's just good overall. But just like you said, there's also the negatives, but just gotta protect yourself.
yeah.
So thank you guys for coming through and hanging out with me, man. It's definitely a pleasure. I think we're going to look back on this. This is, of course, the first interview. We have more to come. I plan on interviewing basketball. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm Derek Boykin. I'll see you later.